Breaking news. Rideshare operations will not be suspended in California. Ride shares are on. The California court has granted our request for a further stay so our rideshare operations can continue uninterrupted for now. Thank you for the tens of thousands of drivers, riders, public officials who urge California to keep ride shares available for so many people who depend on it. That's the official statement from Lyft. And looking at my phone, I have an official statement from Uber as well, which I'm pretty sure reads the same. So this morning we woke up to the news that as of midnight tonight, they both were shutting operations down here in California, and they got a reprieve from the higher court in California.
And this is because they don't pay their employees, the ones who do over 40 hours a week. They're not offering any type of benefits at all. That's right.
Right. They're not offering benefits. Period.
And that's the design of their company. That was their business model, right?
Well, the initial concept of Uber, and I'm sure Lyft, I've only know about Uber, but it was meant to be a thing for like college kids to do.
Yeah.
Work 3 or 4 hours a day, make $150, and go to school. It was meant for, Phil, I'm sorry, but we have to lay you off, and you then spend 6 weeks doing an Uber job until you either get your job back or find a new one.
Find something else.
It was never, Uber has never, ever intended, and again, I'm going to say and Lyft, intended to be a full-time job.
I think that's great. Unfortunately, so, many people have turned that into a full-time job. I remember taking a Lyft maybe a year ago, and the guy who told me him and his family did that. Like, that's all they did. The whole family was doing it, and they had 3 or 4 cars, including like a Tesla or something. So it's like anything, if it's profitable and it's a easy job and you can set your own hours, why wouldn't you do it as much as you can possibly do it? And at the same time, I can understand the difficulty of having to pay employees benefits. That really is one of the most difficult things in this country. And yet every time you bring up the option of a socialized medicine or socialized medical program, you get people, screaming bloody murder. Oh my God, communism, all this other terrible stuff. And England has had socialized medicine for like 90 years going now, I think so. And my ex-wife, her father was over there at one point in time and had actually, I think, broken his arm on vacation over there, going to see family. And he went in there. He's an American. He went into the local hospital there. They bandaged him up, gave him a cast, sent him on his way. You know what his bill was?
Zero.
Mm-hmm. And so if England can pull it off and Canada can pull it off, why can't we pull it off? And that in itself would take so much pressure off of businesses, especially small businesses, because, if you've got 2 employees and it's like, imagine being a dentist, for example. I don't think you don't think about it, but they're small businessmen, right? Your local doctor, dentists mostly are small business. And whenever they have to go on vacation, everybody in their office has to take vacation at the same time, right? Because when the doc's out, that means they're out.
Yeah.
But that means when the doc goes on vacation, he not only has to make enough money during the year so that he can pay himself and his own bills, but he also has to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. That's paying someone for time that they didn't work, which, in an ideal world, it sounds wonderful. But if you're the one having to make that payment at a small business level, it's very difficult. At a big business level, it gets a lot easier because of scale. And we, it's a fact that all the companies these days, all the big business that you have, it used to be I think in the 1960s that the average CEO made roughly 7 times his average employee's salary. And now it's like, over 7,000 times that salary, or is it 700? I think it's
a lot more. Yeah.
It's a massive amount to where if you really look at where all the money's going to all the executives. That's where all the profit of the company is always going to the executives. They don't really give a damn about the employees. The employees aren't shareholders as far as they're concerned. They're just assets that can be moved around, utilized, and then gotten rid of. And that inhumanist approach to business, I think is bad for society. But
And
that's
and I get what you're saying, but you know me, and I come from the world of independent contractors.
yeah,
So for me, one reason I would always use Uber or Lyft,
yeah,
I would support that independent contractor. And if that meant I took a $30 Uber ride or rideshare ride and tip them, because I know they're getting a cut of that, I'll
oh,
tip them
I'm all for it. I
10,
don't see.
15%. And
Yeah,
I look at it like this: it's your choice.
yeah,
The problem
no,
that's the problem with California. They're getting this is a whole different subject, but
yeah, no,
California
I
likes to
love.
regulate what you do, and it's like if I'm making 65 grand a year,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, pay taxes, all that stuff, and I'm walking with 65 grand a year,
yeah,
I could afford my own medical and my own dental and my own whatever.
that's tough. That's 65 a year in California plus paying your. I could say in Alabama maybe, but
I,
65 a year in California is tough.
yeah, but I don't even think they have Uber except for maybe in Mobile.
Hey, I'm just an
Yeah,
example
yeah, yeah.
because California's an expensive place to live. I'll give you an
I,
example.
I picked 65 grand as like a random number
Yeah,
that popped in
I
my
would,
head.
I'm only saying because I moved out here in 1998. All right, in 1998 I was in Florida and I was making $30,000 a year, and I thought I was doing all right because in Florida 30 grand a year back in
Right.
'98 you could afford a house if you wanted. I landed in Sacramento in '98 and quickly realized I had to double that just to start getting by. And that was
Right.
just to get by because rent was, two or three times what it was in Florida. Food was more expensive here. Everything is more expensive. You pay for the sunshine. It's but I'm all for independent contractors. I'm all for the American small businessman, and I can totally see um why everybody's upset about this. Again, my point was, and I hope I made it, was that if we had socialized medicine, this would all be not an issue. Just at all. It wouldn't
Oh
even
yeah.
be an issue. If we just had socialized medicine, everybody would have coverage. It would all be equal coverage, and we'd be fine, and we'd be okay like Canada or England is or Italy even, right? Instead of where we are at
Mhm.
right now with our medical situation and everything else. But I think it's a good thing that we've got a reprieve. I'm happy that the two companies are going to be able to operate here for at least a little while longer, and I hope we can make that a permanent thing. I hope
Yeah.
that the state can come to a solution where they say, all right, maybe just limit the driver's hours to 30 hours a week, so they'll never hit that 40-hour full-time employee status, and make it so that no single driver can ever hit that mark.
Mhm.
And you could say, oh, well, that's stopping somebody from being able. Well, they're going to have to find some other side gig because it was only, like you said, it was only ever meant to be a side gig.
And if they want to regulate it because they're two separate companies,
Yeah.
even if they brought it down to 25 hours to Uber and 25 hours for Lyft, most everybody is a Uber and Lyft driver.
Yeah. There you go.
And unless both companies are going to share information, Alexis Terevko drives for
Yep.
us and you,
That's
there's just
that's
no
a
way.
that's a brilliant idea. And as the time goes by, there will be more rideshare companies. I'm sure of that.
I think
So
there already are.
yeah. So I think that's a great thing. I think the bigger threat to rideshare and to anybody who
Well,
drives a vehicle for a living in general is going to be the driverless car that everybody's working real hard to do, because that's what big government, not big government, that's what big business wants. Big
mhm.
business wants driverless cars so they can lay off Uber drivers, truck drivers, cab drivers, Amazon delivery drivers, you know.
The only thing with that is that if you're not going to come pick it up from the vehicle, you're still going to have to somebody deliver it.
And I think that's what they'll end up doing at first. They'll probably have it so where it's just like all of a sudden it'll be a beep, beep, beep. Something will be in your driveway and you got to go out and lift up the handle and grab it.
Yeah.
Like what do they call it? Like the drop boxes they have for Amazon
Mhm.
at the grocery stores. They'll just
And a lot of apartments have similar boxes that
do
we
they?
just deliver to the boxes, and it'll say, Phil D apartment 6, and
Hmm.
you put it, figure out what size it'll fit in.
Yeah.
You put it in there, and it sends you a text, or I'm sure text email, and it says, "Oh, your package is delivered to the boxes."
And I think automation is definitely going to be the biggest threat to the labor force in the world. Period.
Well, I mean but that, you know, though, that's been the fear since what, the Jetsons came out.
You're right. It always has been a fear. Historically, the machines that we've created have required men to operate them. Then we've had car factories though producing cars in the dark with robots for generations. But and I know because we lived through it that pushed a lot of guys out of work in the 80s.
Hmm.
And there were strikes. Labor unions were going crazy. Reagan was killing unions. It was a bad time period for the American worker. And it was, like you said, we had a jump in technology that automated a bunch of things. Now, the computer generation comes along, and everybody says it was the 70s that started, or at least the old farts like to say it. But I'm an old fart now, and I can say really the computers didn't get to where everybody had one until after Windows 95. And even that
It
gave birth
was.
to a whole other industry.
I posted a picture the other day in the feed.
Yeah.
I want to say it was the thing that was, by the time blah 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 had 50 million users, and the computer was like 47 years.
Wow. It's
And Pornhub was like 3 days. Serious.
That's the God's honest truth. That's why VHS won over Betamax. I'm really dating myself now, but for anybody who
nobody knows what Betamax is.
Betamax was better than VHS, kids, at least quality wise, and it lost because VHS. That's what the porn industry settled on their standard, and that where porn goes, it's true. You're so right. As soon as the internet got to be readily accessible to everyone, what's the first thing everybody started doing? Masturbating online.
Yeah.
It was, from stupid chat rooms and stuff back when they had the dial up and the Prodigy. Remember Prodigy chat rooms or AOL? It was AOL. You got mail.
The AOL chat rooms were the best.
And that's. So yeah, as soon as you get
hold on, I found the picture. So it's number of years it took each product to gain 50 million users.
Okay.
The airplane 68, cars 62, phone 50 years, electricity 46, credit cards 28, TV 22, ATMs 18. Well, I guess the computer was 14 years. Cell phones were 12. The internet was 7, iPods were 4, YouTube was 4, Facebook was 3, Twitter was 2, Pornhub was 19 days.
Wow. 19. Yeah, that's the. I think things are exponentially getting faster.
I want to say thank you to Caesar, my old friend, for sending that to me.
That was a great little tidbit of info. Yeah, just shows you where mankind's priorities are. We don't have a cure for cancer yet, but there's plenty of Viagra to go around.
Right. Well, I mean, cancer, HIV/AIDS.
Yeah. Well, now we're way off topic. But as far as the Uber and the rideshare thing, we did it again.
We did it early. It's usually at the beginning of the show.
As far as the Uber and the rideshare thing, I'm happy that they're going to stay. I hope they find a solution.
So do I.
And it's
because otherwise, Phil, I'm gonna be calling you on Sundays for my trips to the bar.